First time watching the movie called Oppenheimer. I know a little bit about the scientist Oppenheimer. I know that he's known as the father of the atomic bomb. Because he created the atomic bomb, and it was during World War II, and they basically needed a weapon to end the Great War. Part 2. And he played a big role in that. Obviously, a lot of people were involved. He wasn't the only one. But yeah, I have very limited knowledge, but I do have somewhat knowledge of it. So I'm very excited to see this movie. Before we do, though, I want to ask you a question. How are y'all doing? I hope you're doing good. My name's Affan. Welcome to the channel. Now then, let's just jump into the movie. Without any further ado, here we go. I'm a massive fan of Christopher Nolan in that I like his work. As you can see, I'm not that massive, but I am, however, a fan. Affan is how you say my name, but anyways, a lot of Americans call me Affan anyways, so hey, let's just go with it. But I've pretty much seen all of his movies, and I was very excited when I heard about this one as well. Tenet was the last one. That movie was mind-boggling. So yeah, I'm expecting similar sort of masterpieces, as he has produced in the past. So here we go. That's the nuclear explosion. Prometheus stole fire from the gods and gave it to man. For this, rock and tortured for eternity. Wow. I do know Chris Nolan likes to use the same actors. I've seen him in pretty much every one of his movies. Fission. I believe Prometheus is also a movie. You guys asked me to see it. I have yet to see that movie.
So-called derogatory information in your indictment of me cannot be fairly understood except in the context of my life and my work.
How long did he testify?
Fusion. Oh my god, this is Iron Man.
The whole hearing took a month.
Looks so different.
When they bring up Oppenheimer, you answer honestly. No senator can deny you did your duty.
I wanted to study the new physics.
Was there nowhere here?
That's Emily Blunt, isn't it? That girl back there. No. Yes. She's a little blurry, so.
Cambridge to study under Patrick Blackett.
You're happier there than in America.
I was homesick, troubled by visions of a hidden universe.
I need to go to the lectures. Let's go. No, you Oppenheimer. You finish coaching those plates.
Green apple. I just remembered Chris Nolan doesn't like to use CGI, so I wonder how he did the explosions and all that. That's cyanide. What the hell? Did dude just poison his professor, or tried to? Apple. I like how they're using an apple because there's so much importance of the apple in the world of physics and also religion and the world in general, Newton's apple, Adam's apple, representation of free will, knowledge, and so on and so forth. Don't bite it.
So get out of Cambridge with its beakers and potions. Go somewhere they'll let you think. Get to Germany, study under Max Born, learn the ways of theory.
Wormhole.
Wormhole.
Can you hear the music, Robert?
Yes, I can.
Okay. You can hear the music, eh? So the J really didn't stand for anything in his name? It's kind of odd. The wasteland. Like what will be left behind after a nuclear explosion takes place, eh? A wasteland.
Admiral Strauss, I'm interested in your relationship with Dr. J. Robert Oppenheimer.
I actually met Robert in my capacity as board member of the Institute for Advanced Study at Princeton.
Princeton, that's where Einstein was too, right? I believe.
Mr. Strauss.
It's pronounced Strauss.
Strauss.
Whatever way you say it, they know I'm Jewish.
Strauss is just the southern pronunciation. Anyway.
Ah, okay. You know, I was just about to comment what a loss it was for Germany to lose this guy and also Einstein because of their ideology, or rather hatred, really. And then they talk about how he's trying to not pronounce it the proper way.
Why you didn't involve him in the Manhattan Project.
The Manhattan Project, okay, yeah. That's...
Einstein published his theory of relativity more than 40 years ago now.
That's Einstein!
I chose to sell shoes.
Louis Strauss was once a lowly shoe salesman.
No, just a shoe salesman. I'd love to introduce you.
No need. I've known him for years.
Ah, lovely.
Albert.
What was that? As chairman of the AEC, I have access to your security file. I've read it.
Doctor, your time in Europe, you seem to meet with a wide range of other countries' physicists. Any Russians?
None that spring to mind. If you'll just allow me to continue with my
Mr.
statement.
Robb, you'll have ample opportunity to cross-examine.
Let me know if you need any help with the English.
The Bullsingtus Nanal Fidelchen in the relative translation.
What's he saying?
Well, if you need help with English, he'll help you. You're nasty. If you need help with German, he'll help you.
For a couple of New York shoes, how do you know Dutch?
I thought I'd better learn it when I got here this semester.
That was Dutch, not German. Cool. Sounds similar, man.
Ever get the feeling our kind isn't entirely welcome here?
Physicists.
Yeah, physicists, definitely.
This is German you have to seek out.
Heisenberg.
Right.
Heisenberg, of course, named after the famous blue meth dealer. It's the other way around, but yeah.
Dr. Lawrence?
I hear you want to start a school of quantum theory.
Next door. Wanted to be close to you experimentalists.
Theory will get you only so far. Teaching.
I've got my first in an hour.
Seminar.
Pupil. Teaching something no one here has dreamt of. Once people start hearing what you can do with it.
There's no going back.
I must have missed the...
Mr. Lomanitz?
Nah, yeah.
Yes. This is it. Please.
Light made up of particles or waves? Quantum mechanics says it's both. How can it be both?
It can't.
It can, but it is. It's paradoxical, and yet it works.
It's quite a hook.
Now,
Hey, lovely.
Didn't let them bring their politics in the classroom, Oppie.
Lawrence, you embrace the revolution in physics. Can you see it everywhere else?
Keep it out of the lab.
The FBI was taking license plates outside suspected communist gatherings, and his name popped up.
Robert, I want you to...
Wait, that looked like that girl from Black Widow.
Valier, you're in languages?
And your reputation precedes you. They think that socialism is a bigger threat than fascism.
Not for long. Look at what the Nazis are doing to the Jews.
Do stars die?
The bigger the star, the more violent its demise.
Boom, wow.
It swallows everything. Everything, even light.
Harry's sleeping with these. MG.
That is. Forgot her name. Black Widow's sister or whatever, you know.
Ownership is theft.
Property, not ownership.
I'm sorry, I read it in the original German. Why limit yourself to one dogma?
You're a physicist. You pick and choose rules. Or do you use the discipline to channel your energies into progress?
I like a little wiggle room. Party line.
I like my wiggle room, too.
They're flirting. Yes, they are.
What's this?
Sanskrit.
You can
Okay.
read this.
And now I am become death.
Huh, wow.
Destroyer of worlds.
Destroyer of worlds. And something else at this point in time. I have become death. Destroyer of worlds. Foreshadowing, you know. What's to come.
Married. Frick. Congratulations.
Thank you, Jackie.
Yeah, to Jackie, the waitress. All your talk about the common man, but Jackie's not good enough for you.
I haven't joined the party, Frank. And I don't think she should have convinced you to either. You're happy. I'm happy.
So then I'm happy you're happy that I'm happy. Be like I could see one of those dark stars that you're working on.
Can't. Gravity swallows light. It's like a kind of hole in space.
Like a wormhole?
That mesa we saw today, one of my favorite places in the world. Tomorrow we'll climb it.
What's it called?
Los Alamos.
Los Alamos.
I didn't expect to see you today.
I have to make an appointment?
Maybe.
Alvarez?
She really didn't want to see him, eh?
At Strassman in Germany. They split the uranium nucleus.
How? Bombarding with neutrons.
It's a nuclear fission. They did it. They split the atom.
Fission. Yeah.
See? Can't be done.
Alvarez did it.
Wow.
During the process, extra neutrons boil off, which could be used to split other uranium atoms.
Chain reaction.
Bomb.
I told you, Robert, no more fucking flowers. I don't want anything from you.
You say that and then you call.
Well, don't answer.
I'll always answer.
Wow. She told you she's not that simple, you know?
Coming through. I work at Shell. We've signed up chemists. We've signed up engineers.
Ah, B.
Teachers are unionized. Why not professors?
You have somewhere to be.
Hey, for a black hole, it's dead.
During the Battle of Britain, I found myself
Victory or death for me.
for a year or two, and during a previous marriage, my wife, Kitty, had been a Communist Party member.
That's his wife. Oh, okay. Wow. First Black Widow's sister, now Emily Blunt. Happy's doing well, huh?
You're married to Dr. Harrison.
Not Mary.
There is someone that I feel
She feels that way.
sometime, not enough. Going to New Mexico. To come.
Joe got himself killed first time he popped his head out of the trench. Ideology got Joe killed. For nothing.
Spanish Republic isn't nothing.
My husband offered both our futures to stop one fascist bullet from embedding itself in a mud bank. That's the definition of nothing.
Seems a little reductive.
Pragmatic.
Both point of views look very selfish, you know? Selfish of her to reduce his efforts to just that, but then selfish of him to, you know, sort of give up on his family.
He knocked her up. Fast work.
Can't keep a good man down.
Generation of architects, engineers, chemists, and technicians.
Everybody out.
No!
They won't let me bring you onto the project because of this shit.
We've all heard about Einstein and Ziller's letter to Roosevelt warning him the Germans could make a bomb, and I know what it means for the Nazis to have them. It's not your people they're herding into camps.
Ooh.
It's mine.
Yeah.
You think that I tell them about your politics. The next time you're coming home from a meeting, why don't you take a look in the rearview mirror?
I really care what I do.
Because you're not just self-important, you're actually important.
Wow.
If you could just be a little more
Pragmatic.
Pragmatic indeed.
My involvement with the left-wing groups would not prove a bar to my working on the atomic program.
Why were his communist associations not seen as a security risk during the war?
Is this the past? Is that why this is black and white? Monotone, whatever. Or is this a Better Saul Call? Wow. Better Saul Call thing, you know? The future is black and white.
I think they just want to know what happened between 1947 and 1954 to change your mind on Oppenheimer's security clearance.
Hounded out of jobs for you had read. Reading Oppenheimer's security file, his communist brother, sister-in-law, fiance.
Right.
How would Borden have access to Oppenheimer's security file?
Because somebody gave it to him.
He did? Because he was the only...
Robert's silenced.
Look, dear, you're making atomic weapons. In fact, you do.
Look at this man who saw so much be so blind.
Wow, what a line. How can this man who saw so much be so blind? Damn, it's a good one. The child.
You go to him?
I have been going to him all fucking day.
Maybe you should go to him, you know? For a change. It's her baby, too.
Take Peter for a while. We're awful people. Selfish, awful people.
Yeah, it's funny. I just talked about how selfish is a point of view, you know?
I'm Colonel Groves. This is Lieutenant Colonel Nichols. Have that dry cleaned.
Lieutenant Colonel, I'd hate to see how you treat a humble physicist.
If I ever meet one, I'll let you know. Peter, you're a dilettante, a womanizer, a suspected communist, theatrical, egotistical, neurotic.
Nothing good? No? Not even he?
Brilliance is taken for granted in your circle, so no. Why don't you have a Nobel Prize?
Why aren't you a general?
They're making me one for this.
Perhaps I'll have the same luck.
A Nobel Prize for making...
Wow.
Alfred Nobel invented dynamite.
Nice.
We've got one hope: anti-Semitism. People are called quantum physics Jewish.
Yeah.
Einstein's face. Our one hope is that Hitler is so blinded by hate that he's denied Heisenberg proper resources.
That's what I was saying at the start. You know, anti-Semitism. That was the reason they lost so many brilliant people. I mean, obviously, good. But, you know, just another reason why that school of thought is just bullshit.
So you have the job now?
I'm considering it.
I'm starting to see where you got your reputation. Oppenheimer couldn't run a hamburger stand.
Luckily, you're not asking him to run one.
But I can run the Manhattan Project.
There it is. All right, let's do this.
Let's go recruit some scientists.
Greatest minds on atomic theory.
Yes?
It's Petit Yui.
It's about unleashing a strong force before the Nazis do.
How about because this is the most important fucking thing to ever happen in the history of the world?
It's very important indeed. It actually changed the whole mindset behind how wars go down between these nuclear powers, you know?
I've got some skeletons. They put me in charge. They need us.
Until they don't.
Until they don't.
I'm not coming here. You drop a bomb and it falls on the just and the unjust.
Yep.
I don't wish the culmination of 3 centuries of physics to be a weapon of mass destruction.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we can be trusted in such a weapon, but I know the Nazis can't.
Oh, yeah. True.
We have no choice.
It's the us, better us than them, right? Or better than them than us sort of mentality.
Some days, God refuses to eat. Even in Princeton, he's convinced that the Nazis can poison his food.
Well. And you've seen what they do and the length that they will go to hurt you. You know, I'd be paranoid too.
Chain reaction doesn't stop.
Would ignite the atmosphere.
We detonate an atomic device, we might start a chain reaction that destroys the world.
You get to the truth, then you stop and you share your findings with the Nazis. So neither side destroys the world.
Wow. A stalemate, eh?
Chances of an out-of-control nuclear reaction are near zero. To actually detonate one of these things, the best assurance you're going to get is this. Near zero.
Theory will take you only so far.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have a scientist appearing before the committee. I'd like to know the name of the scientist testifying. I'd like the chance to cross-examine. This is not a court.
They bring in a scientist, so what?
You don't know scientists like I do, Counselor. They resent anyone who questions their judgment, especially if you're not one of them. Find out if he was based in Chicago or Los Alamos during the war. He was based in Chicago. They worked under Sillard and Fermi, not the cult of Oppie at Los Alamos. Robert built that damn place. He was founder, mayor, sheriff, all rolled into one.
We're at war, Hans. Halifax, 1917. The biggest man-made explosion in history. Now let's calculate how much more.
A chain reaction, eh? A ripple effect.
Bomb will need, imagine, we'll need a 33-pound sphere. Here's the amount of uranium Oak Ridge refined all of last month. Plutonium.
Instead of uranium or plutonium, we use hydrogen. Heavy hydrogen.
The H-bomb, eh?
We compact the atoms together under great pressure to induce a fusion reaction. Then we'll get not kiloton, but megaton.
So how do you generate enough force to fuse hydrogen atom?
A small fission boat.
Well, thinking, I'm afraid.
Are those the long-range detection filter paper?
That's the Papa from Stranger Things, right?
It's Oppenheimer. Klaus Fuchs.
How long have you been British?
Since Hitler told me I wasn't German.
Lovely.
I've offered jobs to all the lads. We cut down on staff, keep families together. We'd like to bring my brother here.
No.
Pretty clearance has been approved.
It hasn't.
I'm going to Chicago tomorrow.
It's not my fault.
It may not be your fault, but it's your problem because I'm going.
What the hell were you doing in Chicago? Why?
Because we have every right.
You have just the rights that I give you.
Enough of this madhouse. Nobody can work under these conditions. You know what? I quit.
Aren't you more concerned about his discretion out there?
We'll have him killed.
Oh, lovely.
I was just kidding.
Are you?
You didn't hire me despite my left-wing past. You hired me because of it, so you could control me.
I'm just a humble soldier.
You're neither humble nor just a soldier.
Getting there. Slowly but surely.
I'm told that there were communists on the project.
Knowingly
I just want to know where.
Do we need to talk about Jean Tatlock, the Chevalier incident?
Wait, what's going on with Jean?
Doctor, did you think social contacts between a person engaged on secret war work and communists was dangerous?
Were conceivably dangerous.
Very much so.
Known communists.
I've had a lot of grits in my hand for a long time.
You brought flowers. Is this Jean? Yes, no flowers. Come on. Lovely.
You left. Not a word. What did you think that would do to me? Where did you go?
I can't tell you.
Why not?
Because you're a communist.
You find out why she had to see you.
She was still in love with me.
Ooh, lovely. Is he actually naked? Or... Oh, wow, that's... great. Oh, yeah. Oh, poor...
But you have other priorities now.
I have a wife and child.
That's not what either of us is talking about.
You asked me to come.
And I come.
But I can't see you again.
When did you see her after that?
Uh-huh.
I never saw her again.
Mm-mm.
With the last train back today, you said it to history, didn't you?
I was under oath.
Well, you were under an oath to me when you went to see Jean.
True.
Day after day, letting them pick our lives to pieces. Why won't you fight?
Well, Pasha, could you please read from your memo dated June 29, 1943?
Record of whom is attached.
The subject being Dr. Oppenheimer.
I would never put you in a room with Paz.
Why not?
When Paz first heard about Loman, he told the FBI, take him out on a boat and interrogate him in the Russian manner.
Nice.
And attached to the Soviet consul through intermediate people, to people on this project, that he was in a position to transmit information.
And you said that to Paz.
Trying to put it in the context of Russia's not Germany. There's a man whose name was mentioned to me a couple of times. Eltonton.
Might we know through whom the contact was made? So Eltonton made his approach through a member of the faculty here.
There may have been more than one person involved. If I seem uncooperative, I think you can understand it's because of my insistence in not getting innocent people into trouble.
You're trying to protect your friend. Who's protecting you?
Oh, you could.
Volunteer this name.
Did he give you the name?
He did.
You are persistent, but that is your job. And my job is to protect the people that work for me.
Consider us going on certain steps and be disturbing to you. I'd like to discuss those with you first.
Wow. What a game they're playing here.
And when did you receive the name?
I was gone by the time. They felt my time would be better spent in Europe.
Who did?
General Groves. He transferred me to London.
Okay. Well, someone was protecting me.
In Scotland, I was unconscious, but I pretended I'd been napping. Is it big enough to end all war?
To be used as a deterrent.
He seemed more focused on heavy water.
The moderator?
Yes, instead of graphite.
He took a wrong turn. We're ahead.
The power you're about to reveal will outlive the Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
The world is not prepared. You're an American Prometheus. The man who gave them the power to
destroy themselves.
I found her yesterday in the bath.
Who?
She's taken pills. Left a note, not signed. Barbiturates, but there was chloral hydrate in her blood.
Whoa!
We were together. If she needed me, I told her I wouldn't. I told her I could. No, it was me.
You don't get to commit the sin, and then have us all feel sorry for you that it had consequences.
Wow.
People depend on you.
Did she kill herself, or did someone kill her? There was a hand there.
I won't work for that man.
He's a prima donna!
He should leave without.
Okay. Kirsty, you replace Ned Barnes. That's not putting on plutonium. Billy, you go for Kirsty because he needs you. Luke's, you take care.
I talked about him being good with improvisation, right? There he is.
Fusion and the hydrogen bomb. We'll meet to discuss.
We don't have time to meet. You're a politician now, Robert.
Well.
Once a week. 1 hour, you and me.
Wow. He's channeling his inner General Groves.
An H-bomb is 1,000 times the power of an A-bomb. It's a weapon of mass genocide.
Deterrence.
Deterrence? Do we really?
Deterrence.
We can already drown Russia. They know.
What is that? This is the second time this is happening. Wow, that was loud.
As I said,
Drowning everything out, just as they're talking about drowning.
if we build a hydrogen bomb, the Russians will have no choice but to build their own.
Mm-hmm.
One already based on information gathered from a spy at Los Alamos.
It might actually be.
We use this moment to gain concessions from the Russians by committing that we will not build a hydrogen bomb.
Thereby revealing its existence.
Mm-hmm. Better, more advanced, more destructive weapons will be built by the enemy. As you do, they will too.
Warhead.
Chris has got his Gotham crew around, silly.
Is it your intention to suggest that Dr. Oppenheimer is disloyal to the United States?
Loyal to the United States.
Do you, or Dr. Oppenheimer is a security risk?
Seasonal ball. A gadget, right, they're calling that, right.
Germany is about to surrender.
Okay, so it's almost the end of World War II.
The enemy, who are the greatest threat to mankind. It's our work.
But the Japanese fight hard.
Their defeat seems assured.
Mm-hmm.
Preparing to invade.
That's true.
In this war.
But how do we justify using this weapon on human beings?
And our imaginings horrify us. They won't fear it until they understand it. And they won't understand it until they've used it. Our work here will ensure a peace mankind has never seen. A peace based on the kind of international cooperation.
Ooh. A demonstration is what he's talking about, basically. But at what cost? Like they say, how do you justify that?
That's the sweet spot, gentlemen.
August, July, test in July. What do we call the test? Trinity.
From the Matrix, maybe? Whoa.
I hope you learned something. We learned we're gonna need to be a lot farther away. Well, figure it out.
Just because we're building it doesn't mean we get to decide how it's used.
History will judge us, Robert.
Oh, that it will do indeed.
The great salesman of science. You can convince anyone of anything, even yourself.
What are we estimating?
20 or 30,000 dead?
Gee.
Underestimate the psychological impact of an atomic explosion. Atomic bomb will be a terrible revelation of divine power.
World War II would be over.
We intend to demonstrate it in the most unambiguous terms, twice. Once to show the weapon's power, and a second to show that we can keep doing this until they surrender.
I've taken Kyoto off the list due to its cultural significance to the Japanese people. Also, my wife and I honeymooned there. It's magnificent. The Japanese people will not surrender under any circumstances. The use of the atomic bomb on Japanese cities will save lives.
If a Russian bomb is inevitable, perhaps we should invite their top scientists to Trinity.
The Potsdam Peace Conference in July will be President Truman's last chance to have that conversation. You give us a working bomb by then.
Ground zero.
How do they make these decisions, man? There is no right or wrong answer. I mean, even saying that feels wrong, John. I mean, just a lot of innocent lives, you know. And then obviously the aftermath, the effects after the bomb goes off, beyond just the deaths. Imagine they drop it. Oh.
Go on the night of the 15th, so if anyone has anything, speak now.
This is scary, man.
Is there anything else that might stop us?
Weather.
If it's gone our way, take in the sheets.
Break a leg.
Oh, if it goes their way, they'll break several. Oh, unfortunately.
This will work. If we fire these detonators and they don't trigger a reaction, 2 years worth of plutonium will be scattered across White Sands.
A month of my salary against $10. Says it likes.
Jesus.
Wow. What a bet. He's confident.
You could be right, but schedule as late as possible. 5:30. Sign your forecast. If you're wrong, I'll hang you.
Well, just like that bomb, eh? I'll hang him.
What did Fermi mean by atmospheric ignition? Chain reaction from an atomic device might never stop, setting fire to the atmosphere. Chance that when we push that button, we destroy the world. It's the most remote possibility. Chances are near zero. Near zero.
Near zero.
What do you want from theory alone? Zero would be nice.
Yeah. Wouldn't it?
1 hour, 58 minutes. Well, no.
Everybody take a welder's class.
Ooh.
20 minutes.
The electric.
Now, glass stops the UV.
What stops the glass?
We'll find out. Oh, I'm nervous. Like, even though I know what happens. I guess I don't know exactly what happens.
2 minutes to destination. Everybody down.
Just 2 minutes. Ah.
To destination.
These things are hard in your heart.
30 seconds. Detonator charge.
This music can go do one, I swear. That's intense enough. What's he doing? Oh, he wants to see that. Oh my goodness. I was waiting for the sound. I feel cold. There's no sound. Oof. Whoa. Just looking at it directly. How did they create that effect?
And now I am become death.
Mm-hmm. Destroyer of worlds.
The destroyer of worlds.
There it is. Ooh. Light travels faster than sound. Whoa.
It worked.
Yeah.
Only $10. Come on. Hey,
Right away.
Just said to tell you to bring in the sheets. Kitty? Kitty?
Yeah. Bring in the sheets.
If they detonated too high in the air, the blast won't be as powerful.
With respect, Dr. Oppenheimer, we'll take it from here.
Did Truman brief Stalin at Potsdam?
Referred to a powerful new weapon. Stalin hoped we'd use it against Japan.
Should I come with you to Washington?
What for?
Well, you'll keep me informed.
Of course. As best I can.
That's it, you're done, Uppy. You're out. You did your part. And that's that.
Would the Japanese surrender if they knew what was coming?
I don't know.
But what's your opinion?
Once it's used, all war becomes unthinkable.
Until somebody builds a bigger one.
Try Groves. Anything? Charlotte?
Truman's on the radio.
Nothing.
American airplane
They dropped it already.
destroyed its usefulness to the enemy. The bomb had more power than 20,000 tons of TNT. It is a harnessing.
Gross on one.
I'm very proud of you and all of your people. Everyone here is feeling reasonably good about it. It's been a long road.
On the greatest scientific gamble in history, and we have won.
Oh, man. I wouldn't want to be him in this moment. Did we do good or did we do bad? Oh, that's that sound that he keeps hearing.
The world will remember this day.
That they will. Now, the question is, how will they remember it? How will they remember you?
It's too soon to determine what the results of the bombing are, but I'll bet the Japanese didn't like it.
Wow.
I'm so proud. I just wish we had it in time to use against the Germans.
Oof. Oh my goodness. Oh. He's only now realizing the consequences. I mean, he knew about it before, but now it's really hitting him because before he was so lasered focused on the task. And they said that about him too. He can get things done, he can improvise. He focused in the moment. And then later he sees the other side of the argument. Father of the atomic bomb, yep.
President Truman will see you now.
Dr. Oppenheimer, how's it feel to be the most famous man in the world? You helped save a lot of American lives.
That's Gordon.
What we did at Hiroshima was...
And Nagasaki.
Obviously. Your invention let us bring our boys home. Did you know when the Soviets are gonna have the bomb? Never. You're leaving Los Alamos. What should we do with it?
Give it back to the Indians.
Wow.
If what you say about the Soviets is true, we have to build up Los Alamos, not shut it down.
I feel that I have blood on my hands.
Everyone does.
You think anyone in Hiroshima or Nagasaki gives a shit who built the bomb? They care who dropped it. I did.
Mm-hmm.
Hiroshima isn't about you.
Wow. And somehow I don't think you give a shit about the people in Hiroshima or Nagasaki. Ah, lovely.
Opinion among scientists was unanimous.
His brother was blacklisted by every university in the country. When it's wound up working the railroad, Chevalier went into exile. But none of that stopped Robert from pushing the GAC to recommend arms control instead of the H-bomb. He was devastated when Truman rejected their recommendation.
H-bomb program.
My son and his fiancée are desperate to meet the father of the atomic bomb, so...
Klaus Fuchs, the British scientist that you put onto the implosion team at Los Alamos, turns out he was spying for the Soviets the whole time. FBI stepped up surveillance, all it everywhere, just trash pick through. But never stopped speaking his mind. When Eisenhower took office, he saw one more chance.
America and Russia, each capable of killing the other, but only at the risk of his own life.
A lot of scientists blame me, but how was I supposed to protect him? That was the last straw for Robert's enemy.
How could Gordon get access to Oppenheimer's FBI file? Could it have been Nichols?
No, I can't imagine him do that. I worked my whole life to get here, and now in front of the entire country, they want to put me back in my place. Lowly shoe salesman.
Lewis, we can win this.
I think we can. Hill's testimony back us up.
He was one of Zillard's boys in Chicago, and they never forgave Robert for not supporting their petition against bombing Japan.
Everyone in the street, for nearly a mile around, was instantly and seriously burned. The Japanese spoke of people who wore striped clothing upon whom the skin was burned in stripes. There were many who thought themselves
I hope that in years to come, we will look back on your work here with pride. And the day will come when people will curse the name of Los Alamos.
Oppenheimer, straws fought and the U.S. won. Those were your words from the other day. Or would you know what Time magazine is going to write?
Henry Luce is a friend.
Okay.
You've been far ahead all along.
Survival in Washington is about knowing how to get things done.
Well, no, that it's straws.
Lewis brought me to Princeton.
Then you humiliated him in front of Congress.
But more useful than a sandwich.
Took it personally.
Wake up! It is straws. It's always been straws, and you know it. Why won't you fight him?
You have filed a Borden. You set him on Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I called it. It specifically mentioned that he had access to his file.
No trial, you can't give Oppenheimer a platform. Shabby little room, far from the limelight. You send your accusations to the FBI. Hoover sends them to the AEC. You're forced to act. When he appeals, I appoint a board. They will, of course, have counsel. Roger Robb. Ouch. A closed hearing. No burden of proof. We're not convicting, just denying. It's just how the game is played.
Forgive my naivete.
Power stays in the shadows. If you do decide to appeal, then they'll have to send you a copy. Take my car and driver, Einstein. I'm sorry it's come to this, Robert. I think it's wrong.
Oh, do you now? Maybe he actually does, but he has to do it. It's one of those things, you know? That's just how the game's played. Game's the game, you know? He's marinated them all, man.
Strauss wants me to walk away.
Strauss knows that you can't do that. You'd be accepting the charges. We'll lose your reputation. We'll lose our house. Robert, we have to fight.
This won't be a fair fight.
Your friend, Hakon Chevalier, the communist, he's still your friend?
Yes.
Tell her that's Lawrence. He wasn't going to help them. Frost told him that you and Ruth Tolman have been having an affair for years. Dr. Oppenheimer is a man of upstanding character, and he is loyal to the United States to eat.
Wow.
Witness Dr. Lawrence come down with colitis. We'll proceed with William Borden instead.
This is the first I've seen of this letter. And I see statements here. These are accusations that have not previously been made. How long has counsel been in possession of this letter?
I don't think I should be subject to cross-examination.
Let's proceed.
Wow. They're cooking him. I think he's realized he's done.
J. Robert Oppenheimer is an agent of the Soviet Union.
Lovely.
More probably than not, he has since been...
Is anyone ever going to tell the truth about what's happening?
That's not how governments work, brother.
I've been asked to testify about Louis Strauss. Most of the scientists in this country would prefer to see Mr. Strauss completely out of government.
Nice, let's go.
Because of the personal vindictiveness demonstrated against Dr. Oppenheimer.
Let's go! Finally, someone.
Most scientists around this country, Robert Oppenheimer is now being pilloried and put through an ordeal because he expressed his honest opinions. No board should sit in judgment of a man because he expressed strong opinions.
The Oppenheimer matter was initiated and carried through the animus of Louis Strauss.
Let's go. That's how it feels, you little bitch.
Strauss never forgave him this public humiliation. Strauss was able to find a few ambitious men who also disagreed with Oppenheimer's positions.
I have seen Dr. Oppenheimer act in a way exceedingly hard to understand. I want to see the vital interests of this country in hands which I understand better and therefore trust more. Sorry.
You shook his f***ing hand.
Would you clear Dr. Oppenheimer today?
What about him? Come on.
I would not clear him today if I were on the commission.
Good, thank you.
Oh.
And you wouldn't want to leave this board with any suggestion today that you're here questioning his basic loyalty to the United States and the operation of Los Alamos?
By no means. I hope I didn't lead anyone to believe otherwise.
I think you did. Unknowingly, but still.
Do you even want her here?
Only a fool or an adolescent presumes to know someone else's relationship, and you're neither.
Hey, there she is.
We're grown to walk through fire together. She will do fine.
Describe your views on communism as
Very strongly against.
I would have protested against the tactics of the man who served in fact as the prosecuting counsel, a man appointed not by the board, but by Louis Strauss.
Who was this?
Roger Robb.
Mrs. Oppenheimer, did you have a Communist Party membership card?
I'm not sure.
Not sure. I mean, presumably the act of joining the party required sending some money and receiving a card, no?
Very long ago, Mr. Robb, wasn't it?
Not really.
Long enough to have
Did
forgotten.
you return the card or rip it up?
The card whose existence I've forgotten?
Your Communist Party membership card.
Haven't the slightest idea. Thought that the Communist Party of the United States was concerned with our domestic problems. I now no longer believe this since I left the party 16 years ago.
But
17 years ago. My mistake.
But you said...
Sorry, 18. 18 years ago.
Did you know this money was going into Communist Party channels?
Don't you mean through?
Pardon?
I think you mean through Communist Party channels, don't
Yet
you?
this meant that by 1942, your husband had not stopped having anything to do with the Communist Party.
It's not properly phrased.
Do you understand what I'm getting at?
I do.
Then why don't you answer it that
Because
way?
I don't like your phrase. Robert never had anything to do with the Communist Party. I know he took an intellectual interest in communist ideas.
There are two types of communists. Intellectual communists and your plain old regular commie.
Well, I couldn't answer that one.
I couldn't either.
What a woman. Let's go.
I left my country never to return. You served your country well. If this is the reward she offers you, then perhaps you should turn your back on her.
Mm-hmm.
Damn it, I happen to love this country.
And tell them to go to hell.
Interestingly enough,
Einstein did have a certain perspective on loyalty and nationalism, you know?
Can't prove a goddamn thing.
We're not in court. There's no burden of proof. People need a reason to do the right thing.
Oppenheimer poisoned the scientists against me, right? I don't know, but I'll even meet my eye.
Wow.
Oppenheimer knows how to manipulate his own.
He is so in the head, so paranoid.
You can build a hydrogen bomb. It's a matter of life and death. What moral qualms have to do with it?
Yes.
Oppenheimer wanted to own the atomic bomb. If he could do it all over, he'd do it all the same.
How many were killed or injured?
70,000.
70,000.
Oh.
110,000 in both.
On the day of each bombing. 220,000 dead at least. Any moral scruples about that?
Terrible ones.
He wanted the glorious, insincere guilt.
He's talking about himself, isn't he?
Say, no, we cannot go down this road, even as he knew we'd have to.
He's definitely talking about himself, isn't he?
We set forth our...
Oh, no, you. I'm asking you.
I set forth our arguments against dropping it, but I did not endorse it. What I meant.
Who? And wouldn't the Russians do anything to increase their strength?
If we did it, they would have to do it. Our efforts would only fuel their efforts, just as it had with the atomic bomb.
Just as it had with the atomic bomb, exactly.
No moral scruples in 1945, plenty in 1949.
Wow, what a scene.
When it became clear to me we would tend to use any weapon we had.
I gave him exactly what he wanted. To be remembered for Trinity, not Hiroshima. He should be thanking me. We still have enough votes.
Has come to the unanimous conclusion that you are a loyal citizen.
But,
However,
there we go. But, however, ass, same thing.
to deny renewal of your security clearance.
Robert.
Don't they get the sheets?
There were a couple of unexpected holdouts.
Oh, lovely.
I'm denied.
I'm afraid so. A young guy trying to make a name for himself didn't like what you did to Oppenheimer. Kennedy.
Kennedy. JFK! Oh. Oh, man.
Let them tar and feather you, then the world would forgive you.
What does the F and JFK means, by the way? I always, want to know that. Never remember to actually, let me look it up. Frederick Franklin? Fitzgerald. Okay, there we go. John Fitzgerald Kennedy.
They don't want me in the cabinet room. Maybe they should just invite Oppenheimer instead.
Oh, wow, this guy.
Turn the scientists against me one by one, starting with Einstein. I told you.
Is it possible they didn't talk about you at all?
At all, yeah, they didn't. Why would they?
Yeah. More important.
Yeah. Wow, more important. What's more important than this guy? Come on, fam. There's nothing more important than straws, especially paper straws. The ripples.
You all thought that I had lost the ability to understand what I'd started.
Yeah, he did start it.
It wasn't for me, it was for all of you. Now it's your turn.
Yeah.
to deal with the consequences of your actions.
Wow.
And one day, when they've punished you enough, they'll serve you salmon and potato salad. Next speech is give you a medal.
You're happy, I'm happy.
It won't be for you.
He shook his hand again.
It'll be for
She's not shaking him. Ah. The people who present you with the awards. It's not for you, it's for them. Albert Einstein, eh?
When I came to you with those calculations, we thought we might start a chain reaction that would destroy the entire world.
We have?
I believe we did.
Yep. Nah, they were talking about Strauss. Destroyer of worlds? What? That's not important. Straws, my apologies, is more important. Whoa, what a movie. Oh, there's a lot to talk about. That's why I love Chris Nolan. His movies don't mess about. I don't even know how to talk about this, honestly. But I'll do my best. Okay, wow, what a movie. So much to talk about. The movie in general, the history, the importance of these events and the people involved, the backstabbing, and the conspiracies, and so on and so forth. Start off with the movie, though. It was an absolutely spectacular movie. I mean, it's nothing short of a masterpiece, which we have come to expect from Christopher Nolan. He has set a standard for himself that is above and beyond anything else, and it's amazing, really. And I do really wonder, some of the shots that we saw, how were they created? Because I do know that Christopher Nolan does not like using CGI as much. He prefers practical effects. And so how exactly did he do that? Or maybe he broke that rule for this movie. I'm not entirely sure. He's a genius, you know. He is the Oppenheimer of the movies. No, he will come up with a way, and I'm sure he did. And I would love to see a video or something. I'm sure there's something on it. If they did a practical effect of creating the actual nuclear explosion, how did they go about it? That'd be quite interesting. But yeah, some of the shots were amazing. I mean, we had so many of those raindrop shots. We kept seeing those over and over again, and we obviously didn't really understand it at first, but slowly was revealed in the dialogue of the movie and the plot of the movie that, well, they're talking about the ripples that it's creating, the chain events, you know, one after another. I mean, that's what's required in this. And so we saw that, and we slowly sort of connect it with that, and it's very well done. I mean, we heard the thumping of the feet of the people when they hear that it was a success, and that they spent all that money and time and effort doing something that was technically a success. So yeah, and then the flash, him muting everything, focusing on one thing, the flash, and then the burning skin and everything. I mean, that's the reality of what he has done, and so he's seeing that finally. We got a sort of a little line about that, as well as that you are the great improviser. You can make things happen, but even this for you is too much. And we saw an example of that in the moment when he was there working on the project. He considered the consequences for a brief moment, but swiftly would move past it and continue his work and focus on it and do his job, like he said. But as he got closer and closer, as he had more time to think about the decisions that he made and the impact that his work would have on the world, he started to develop a second opinion, an opposing opinion to the creation of not only this bomb and the usage of this bomb, but also the creation of then the H-bomb. And we saw an example of that in one of those scenes as well, when he's with the professor and the professor asks everyone to go to the lecture and except him. He has to make sure cleans up before he goes, and he sees the apple and he goes and he injects the poison, the cyanide, into the apple, because in the moment, you know, he comes up with a plan and he executes it, and then later, as he has more time to think about it, he's like, what did I do? I need to go back and I need to stop whoever from eating that apple. So I thought that was beautifully done. That we had like a couple of examples of that, obviously being the atomic bomb, the Manhattan Project being the biggest one of it all. We had obviously the stuff that he did with Jean, and then while being married at the same time. So another example there. And just overall the guilt that he started to feel. And like they said, well, no, you didn't feel it at the time of the project, but once the project had finished, that's when you started to feel it. And he answered as well, when he realized that there is no end to this, that it's not really about achieving peace, this weapon, it's about actually fear. And that's when he started to realize that, okay, maybe this wasn't a good idea. Maybe we have created something that will destroy the world, as he has mentioned so many times. When he was Jean, he reads that a Sanskrit script which says, "I have become death, the destroyer of worlds," or something along those lines. And that's him. He has become that. Well, in that moment, he was destroying something entirely different. But anyway, that's a topic for a whole other day. But yeah, and then we had his character as well, Oppenheimer's, as some of the people that were called in by the prosecution to be questioned. As I said, he had strong opinions. And yeah, everybody has strong opinions. You know what they say about opinions and assholes, Everybody's got one. So, he has strong opinions, and I have strong opinions as well. But to be put in a situation where everything that you have said in a candid conversation with people that you obviously trust, when that is taken out of context, just portions of it, I don't think you can find anyone really who will not look guilty. I mean, you can make anyone, the most innocent person in the world, look guilty if you take like an hour-long conversation and just take a line out of it. Do you know what I mean? So that was pretty interesting that they showed that, and the tactics that were employed by these politicians. And I mean, that was to be expected, being backstabbed by politicians, as we have come to learn. Politicians, scum of the earth, the absolute bottom of the pit is where they belong. Of course, there are a few here and there. Maybe it's because who do the right thing, and maybe it's because they're young, or as we like to say, inexperienced and naive. But there are some who every now and again will pop in and do the right thing. But those people are the minority. And for the most part, politicians suck opinions, if you know what I mean. But to see then that there was someone who had power and did not use that power for personal gain, it was quite refreshing. I'm talking about Hill there at the end, seeing everything and then coming to the logical conclusion that, well, obviously it was personal for Strauss, and he felt humiliated by Oppenheimer, and so he made it his mission to take Oppenheimer down, and he did, actually. I mean, if it wasn't for Hill, that was it for Oppenheimer, So that's the movie part. Like I said, we have come to expect this from Chris Nolan. This is nothing new. This is just regulation, all right? So that was brilliantly done. Then the actual events, I know very, very little about it, so I would need your help in this department. I'm not entirely sure what they were trying to say with the whole Jean's death situation. Was it suicide? Because in one scene it looked like it was suicide, and another it looked like it might have been murder. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know much about the actual real event, so I'm not sure what actually happened, or maybe that's how it is in the real event is as well. Maybe there are some that say it was suicide and some that say that it wasn't. Either way, I would like to know. So if someone is informed on this topic, please let me know in the comments down below. And there was obviously the whole dilemma of creating such a weapon, and then the line that they said, I thought, which was absolutely brilliant, which was that if we are going to create these super weapons, of course our enemy is going to then replicate that and maybe do one better, one over us. And so in the end, then what does it become? It sort of then becomes a weapon of deterrence more than anything, which, if you think about it, it has today. I mean, it was used on Japan, unfortunately so. And like I said, the whole point of that usage was not peace. It was to instill fear, not just in the Japanese, but in the world, to show off, basically, that we have this. Because they dropped 2, and they gave the reasons why they dropped 2. So, yeah, that was done. A demonstration was given. A lot of people were affected. how does one justify that? I mean, they're trying to, and you could play the devil's advocate. I could too, and defend it, but I will not. Anything that is deliberately done to harm innocent civilians, that's not acceptable and shouldn't be to anyone, really, regardless of who it is carrying out those actions. So, yeah, I mean, they knew. Oppenheimer himself and many others said there isn't a large enough city or place where you can drop it and justify it, because mostly it'll be civilians getting hurt, innocents getting hurt. And they knew that, and they did it twice. So, yeah. That's why I say that even when you say that there are both two sides to it, that even that feels weird and insane, because even justifying it feels like you're doing the wrong thing, even though you're just simply trying to understand the motives, although we know the motives weren't entirely to end the war and save lives, because, well, as we know, over 200,000 in the end were affected by the dropping of those bombs. So, yeah, well, we didn't save much, did we? Unfortunately not. We had, obviously, the perspectives as well of Oppenheimer being absolutely distraught, going through these anxiety attacks, these panic attacks. And then you had that contrasted by the people who were applauding this and who were happy to see this and who were congratulating him. Although inside, this guy was in a very, very dark place. And, it reminded me of that one line that they said, the bigger the star, the bigger the explosion. It's kind of like that saying, the bigger you are, the harder you fall, and I had a feeling, I was like, you know what, that's kind of Oppenheimer. That's what he's talking about, really. The bigger the star, well, the bigger the explosion. And that's exactly how it turned out to be in the end. It is what it is. It happened. It's in the past, but I hope we can learn from it moving forward. And I think we have. I mean, like I mentioned, right now, it is being used as a deterrence more than anything, really, by all the nations that have it. You never really see any other countries that have this go head to head, do you? I mean, you see something like a Cold War, guerrilla warfare, but not head to head. And this is why, so I guess in a way it has worked. Then you had a whole nother topic as well, being on the topic of World War II, the Germans, not all of Germany, but the party and the leaders at the time. So they had a certain hatred for a certain group, and so much so that they actually kicked out some of these physicists, because like they mentioned, they believed that was something that the Jews did, and obviously the Jews were the ones getting persecuted at the time. And there are so many reasons, that is wrong, right? But one that we saw in this one in particular, a different side of it, was that, well, Einstein, Oppenheimer, all these incredible minds left Germany because of that hatred, because they weren't very welcomed, because of their heritage. And, well, what happened in the end, right? I mean, the Germans could have had these absolute geniuses who built something so big that would easily flip the war in their favor. But they lost out on that. On the other hand, you had the Alliance, who not only got these people, but there were actually some other stuff that they have done as well. They actually got some people from, I don't want to say the name of those people, that party, because, YouTube doesn't really like it when you do that. They got people from those parties and brought them in, scientists and physicists, and did experiments with their help and developed stuff and move forward. Now, again, that's another moral quandary that you could have, is it okay to use people such as that, full of hatred, people whose ideologies clearly clash with yours, and people who want nothing but destruction, really? Is it okay to use those people? Is it justifiable? Again, it's one of those questions that I don't know the answer to, but it is something that happened. It's there. It's our history, unfortunately so. I'm referring to Operation Paperclip, of course, but, like I said, I'm not too educated on these things, so I won't go too deep into it. That's for you guys to do. So I'll leave that to you, because you are the expert. Like always, the comment section experts forget Oppenheimer. You want to find a genius? You'll find it in the comment section. That's where they should have gone to find the physicists for this Manhattan project. But anyways, I digress. The point is that we have yet another sort of disadvantage of just being a hateful person. If the other reasons, like being a decent human being, just having a moral compass, just being accepting and tolerant of people, not judging people based on their color, beliefs, or really anything, wasn't enough, there's another reason for you, you know? That's the point. Is it good, bad, whatever? That's not really for me to decide. Now, of course, you could argue that the atomic bomb is not really the reason why the Germans lost, because the Germans had already lost and surrendered by the time the atomic bomb came into the equation, but for sure they would have surrendered if it had been, if the atomic bomb had been developed before that point and had a successful test. Then, of course, vice versa as well. If the Germans had it, then it would have defeated the Alliance as well, which I'm glad they didn't. They had a great line there from Einstein about the people who are presenting you with the awards. Well, it's not for you, it's for them. It's really a show. It's really, actually, if you think about it, it's kind of what was going on with Strauss as well. Everything he was saying about Oppenheimer, it seemed like it wasn't true for Oppenheimer at all, but in fact, it was true about Strauss himself. And he was just mirroring it. He was seeing himself. Actually, staying on the topic of Einstein, I mean, I know Oppenheimer said that Einstein was the brightest mind of his time, and that is the reason why he didn't pick him for the Manhattan Project. But could it be that they had some differences, especially that last line that he says that, you know, whatever we have done here is going to bring the destruction of the world, and then he's like, I believe we did. You know, is it that? I mean, that obviously took Einstein to a place where he didn't even want to look at Strauss in that moment and even acknowledge that he was there, which is what then started this whole situation, that Strauss thought that he said something to him about him. Do you know what I mean? Who knows, man? But yeah, it was an absolute masterpiece, a brilliant movie. It was a POV piece, so obviously everything was from the perspective of Oppenheimer himself, and so we didn't get to see a lot of things the way they panned out, but rather the way Oppenheimer saw them, so that's important to keep in mind, which is why I'm saying that, please correct me if anything that I'm saying about these movies didn't happen actually like that in the real world. I mean, it happened in the movie like that, but like I said, it's Oppenheimer's POV, so, you know, obviously it's not the most reliable source. Or maybe it is, who knows. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you enjoyed this video, do drop a like. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Check out my Patreon, that's where these videos go up first, and full-length reactions are there as well. Thank you so much, every single one here, for supporting me all this time, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, have a nice